And another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, leave your comments. Today we have a round dos. My Spanish is atrocious. Round two of the Soothing Semantics podcast with Mr. 20 under 40, Pinecrest, Coral Gables, Brickell, Miami, you name it. The Cuban King, weighing in at 210 pounds of muscle, loves leg day, works out legs about 7 times a week. My very good friend, incredible, successful realtor, Jonathan Vega. Thank you for coming, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, that's the nicest compliment I've ever received on about my legs. So thank you, man. Usually people say that I ask if I skip leg day. They don't say that I do leg day, that often. So I appreciate it. The comment means a lot. Thank you
Okay.
for having me, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. Listen, I have skinny calves, dude. It's genetics. It is what it is. We're trying to make it work, but I grew up as
Honestly,
a
man,
skinny. Yeah, go ahead.
but skinny calves is the new thing. Like if you don't have skinny calves, then like whatever. Like that's what's in.
Oh, okay. So I'm
Like
glad my
skip
skinny calves are in style, dude. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's in style. It's in style. It's in style. That's at least what I try to tell myself to make myself feel better. And maybe just tell yourself that too. It'll make you feel better too.
I will. I will, dude. I didn't like wearing shorts for a long time, and then I just got over it. I mean, my quads and hamstrings are definitely a lot thicker, so it helps. But anywho, Mr.
But hey,
Vega.
man, thanks for having me here. And I apologize. I'm in the car, but as you know, we're real estate on the go, and I wanted to make sure I got you. And we're in between appointments now, so
We
this
do what we got
this
to
should be a
do.
fun one.
We do.
We do what we got to do,
This is
man.
the first. This I think this is the first moving podcast. It is what it is. I mean, dude, listen.
There's a first for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
These are more fun. It will be
you
more fun.
you you do what you got to do, man. We're making this happen. So Jonathan, we spoke a lot in the past. It was probably 3 years ago since the last time we recorded an episode. Give us a little bit of a. You don't have to do a backstory because I would tell people to go back to the first episode to hear that. So give us an idea of how the market's going. Tell us about that.
Interesting market. Definitely an interesting market. That's the way I think to sum it up. We do have what's nice is, we're in a very unique market here in Miami. So we get a lot of people from out of state. We still have, big companies moving down here, and their employees, really making a shift and impact in the market down here. Every market, every sub-market is very different. The markets that I tend to work a lot in are, more of like the suburbs, let's say, Brickell down to Pinecrest. And, it's nice about these areas is, these people that are moving down, they want to put their kids in the top schools, and this is where the top schools are. If anyone's looking for the best schools in all Miami, it's usually in the southeast region of Miami. So, it's an interesting market just because I think there's a void between what sellers think or their expectations are versus what buyers are willing to pay. And I think we're seeing a lot of price decreases, not because the market's tanking and going downhill. I think it's more so you seeing price decreases from unrealistic sellers who start so high and then they realize, okay, maybe my house is not worth 20% over market value. Maybe it's worth actual market value.
Right.
So I think that's what we're seeing a lot of. And then obviously the condo market I think is being affected by the news, more supply hitting the market, and the HOA fees and all that insurance going on.
Right. And you would say also with what happened in Champlain Towers with the collapse, where now buildings really have to meet code and they can't really get away with a lot of the nonsense they were before. They need to have reserves. They need to pass certain inspections. It's going to cost sellers more money and in turn cost the new buyers more money. So you think that's making it more difficult?
I mean, I think it's affecting the condo market on a micro level, right? When you're looking at the macro, you're thinking of like Miami long term.
Hmm.
this might even be the time to buy a condo. But it is affecting the condo market because HOA fees have rise. There's a lot of speculation, uncertainty, but I think there's good that comes from everything going on because buildings should have been doing what they're doing since day one.
Yes, yes,
Since
dude.
day one, it
You're
should have
saying
always been
exactly.
like that. Yeah, it should have always been like that since day one. But people didn't want to spend to invest in the property and really take care of their properties. And you know, an unfortunate situation happened. But I think at the end of it, we're humans and we learn through experiences like that. And I think what's going on now is going to prevent, or hopefully prevent, that from ever happening again. But now you can buy a condo in the future, and maybe within the next year or two, you can buy a condo and know, all right, they've looked into the overall health and condition of the building and the structures. They have reserves for it. There's laws now that are going to make you do that, and that's the way it should have always been from day one. So I think it's going to give consumers confidence in a year or two once this wave of assessments and all the laws have been implemented and are in place, and everybody's up to that standard.
Mhm.
I think it's going to give consumers more confidence, and then we'll see like an uptick in condo sales and eventually down the road. But now it's kind of like that in between moment, and I do think that there's opportunity out there for people who want to get in. I think now is where the opportunity would lie.
I agree. I think that you put it so well. Yeah, you mentioned the micro versus the macro. Yeah, down the
Yeah.
road, properties are going to be in a position where new buyers are not going to have to worry about a building crumbling because they need to meet code and they can't just cheap their way out of it to say, oh well, we can just you know do some crappy paint job or do this cheap repair. They need to do things the right way, and that's how it should be. So I fully agree. So that's for the potential buyers listening. Oh, really, and the sellers. Don't let that deter you. If anything, it should be a reason to make decisions.
Of
So
course, of course.
so okay. So you mentioned certain things going on in the market. What do you suggest for sellers to do? Meaning a seller, what's happening a lot now is sellers have an idea of what they want for on the price. The buyer has an idea of what they want to offer, and sometimes there's this difficulty meeting in the middle, and that happens in every market. Well, not every market. The COVID market, we didn't have much of that, but in a market like this, there does seem to be this little window where sometimes they have a hard time meeting. So, what do you suggest, say, in the single family space, and how to have that proper conversation? How to have a seller and buyer meet in the middle without them feeling like they lost out.
I mean, look, every situation is different, right? But in the single family sector, I think it's very important that a seller be informed about what's actually selling, right? There needs to be an ongoing conversation with the seller and them being aware of what is selling around the house. You can't be unrealistic. If you want to sell your house and the identical property to yours just sold for, let's say, 1.5 and you're asking $2 million, you need to be realistic because any buyer that's going to see your house and is going to potentially make an offer on your house is going to run comps, look and see that that house sold, and they're going to say, hey, why are you asking so much more if it's the exact same house? So a seller has to be informed, I think, with the overall market, right? They can't just, as a realtor, we can't just feed into, oh yeah, oh, 2.5, yeah, we'll do it. And it's not worth 2.5, right? You have
Mm-hmm.
to inform. And I think that's where, a professional realtor comes in is, if you want to overprice it, okay, but a seller needs to know they are overpricing it so that when an offer comes and it's not what they're expecting or not that price you're asking, they're like, okay, that kind of goes and leans towards what you were telling me from the beginning.
Right.
So I think as a professional on both ends, as representing sellers, you just need to keep it sellers informed. I think sellers need to just be realistic and know what's selling. They need to know what's going on in the area. And then as for a buyer, is having the representation there on that end to run the comps, be honest with value, be honest about and knowing what's going on in the trends in the local market, right? So being, I think, understanding and working with someone who knows these things is going to be, I think, super important for a seller or buyer. And meeting in the middle is is that, right? Understanding, finding a place where both people are happy, um, knowing the comparable sales in the area and what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, that's very sound. And
Yeah.
it's that's also becoming more and more important now with the change in commission structure. That's leading me up to my next question. What do you think is going to happen when the NAR settlement goes into effect? I mean, is it going into effect August 17th? Is it? I don't even know, by the way. It seemed I keep reading August 17th, but what's what can we expect? I mean, let's say as buyers agents, do you think an enormous amount of agents are going to leave the industry now? They're going to get scared. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I think everything is leaning towards August 17th, right? I haven't heard anything otherwise. But I'm not really worried about it. And the reason why I'm not worried about it is because I'm not what is it they say, fly by night realtor. I'm not someone who's in it on a side gig who has a license to help family, and I'm not that guy, right? I'm the guy who I do this all day, every day, 7 days a week, every single night. I'm this is what I do, right? So I'm not really worried about it. Uh Obviously it's
Mhm.
gonna make a change in the industry and the way we do business, but I'm not worried about commissions and cutting and stuff like that. I'm honestly not worried about that because I know the value that I provide, and I know
Mhm.
the value I provide for a buyer is getting them a deal that they would not otherwise get. If they went to a listing agent, they're not going to get the same deal that I'd be able to get them when I represent them because I'm a intense negotiator and I know my shit. Excuse my language, right? I
Yeah.
know what's going on in the market. I'm in tune with the market. I do this daily, right? So this is what I know, and working with someone who is experienced and working with someone who knows how to negotiate, that's going to save you more money than you would on saving a commission on that in the grand scheme of things, right?
Right.
So I'm not really worried. We provide so much value to our buyers, like the buyers we work with. We help them find off markets, like we help them find things that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So I think we have that value to add to our clients.
Mhm.
And then in terms of the seller side, I haven't had one seller that I've worked with. We have 12 listings right now. All the sellers are pretty understanding. That they respect what we do, and they want to compensate people for what they do. Right. So um, obviously, it's going to change the way we do business, but am I worried about it? No, not really.
Okay. Well, do you think there's still a way to compensate? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. Is there still a way legally for the seller to still compensate the buyer's agent?
Look, so like the logistics and the legalities of it, I'm not an attorney. I'm gonna have to pull that card on you.
Yeah,
I'd
totally.
consult I consult with an attorney on the legalities of the situation, right? But um a seller could pay, from what I've understood, a seller could pay a commission to a buyer's agent, if they so please. The legalities of if it's your broker paying that commission or the seller paying that commission, that's legal little, terminology. But yes, sellers can definitely pay, commissions to buyer's agents. Now it's just gonna have to be, from what I understand, in writing in advance of a showing, and that's understandable. I think that's completely understandable.
That's understandable. Okay. And what do you suggest to do? Now, you work a lot in the luxury market. People tend to have money. It is what it is. Say you're working with clients that are maybe newly married, they're young, they don't have a lot of funds. You want to help them. They seem serious, but they can only offer you a lot less than 2 or 3%, 2.5, 3%. They can only give you a flat amount of, I don't know, say your commission would have been 30K. Well, no, if it was 30K, they probably have a decent amount of cash. But let's say your commission would be 10K. They can only give you 4K. What do you do?
I mean, that's where you got to get creative with the deal that you have in front of you, right? Again, every situation is going to be different, but you structure the deal in a way where you're able to try to find some form of compensation. I mean, that's one of those things where we kind of figure it out as when we get there in that moment,
Right.
right? Everybody talks about what you can do and what to do and all that, but in reality, like until that moment's actually there, it's figure it out when we get there kind of thing.
Mhm.
But in that scenario, from what I understand is you come to an agreement with the buyer you're working with in advance. And the commission is 3%, and either they're going to pay you that 3%, if not if the seller doesn't pay some form of compensation, right? That's kind of my understanding of it, but we'll kind of
Right.
figure it out as we once we actually get into that moment, right? I think
Mhm.
that's just one of those scenarios.
Yeah, I think it's probably, there's probably going to be, as a buyer's agent, there are probably going to be buyers that don't go with you because you weren't the cheapest. But in the long term, if you're doing a lot of business anyway, you'll be fine. There will be plenty of those
Yeah,
buyers.
and again, I think I mean, commissions have always been negotiable. They've always been negotiable. But
Right.
I think certain people understand that you get what you pay for. You honestly do. You really do get what you pay for. You hire a buyer's agent to help you, and let's say you're like, for the instance of the condo, let's say you're looking for a condo, and you hire an agent to, they say, oh look, I'll just do paperwork and everything for you. I'll do it for a point, for 1%. That's it, and I'll just do the paperwork. Great. You hire that agent on 1%. You're gonna pay them that 1%. They'll do the paperwork. They'll do all this, but there's so many things involved, especially with a condo purchase, even a sale of a single family home, inspections. Like, what inspections do you do? Do you know the right companies to reach out to, right? Who's hand holding you throughout the entire process? On a condo, does the building have their 40-year recertification? Have they done structural engineering reports? Are there any special assessments? Who's going to ask the tough questions to the condo? Who's going to be the one to make sure that every single I is dotted? Like, you can't overlook those things. And then, you have that person that obviously goes for a very, very low fee. And again, you get what you pay for. And they're not looking into those things for you. You have to do that. And you don't ask the right questions. And then a year later, you find out, oh my God, there's a special assessment coming. And I had no idea that was even coming. I had no idea what questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, you get what you pay for. That's all I have to say about all that.
That's such a good example, because you can now incur a $40,000 cost. It could be any, I mean, it could be
Yeah.
20K, depending on the
Yeah.
price, the size of the condo. You can incur a 40K cost when, if you would have paid that extra few $1,000s to hire an agent that you know is qualified, that would do the work for you, it would have prevented you from all of that happening. It's a very good example.
Yeah, yeah, and all of our clients, I think that at least my clients, they understand that you get what you pay for, and the results, speak for themselves, right? So, um, I think most people who do well understand that notion, right? I'm not looking for the cheapest guy if I'm doing my home renovation. I'm not looking for the cheapest quality of product. I want a good product delivered, right? And I'm willing to overpay for that, or pay a little more, because I want a better product at the end of it, right? So yeah, I think people understand that.
Yeah, the right people do anyway, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's always going to be people who want to get for you go, save here, save there, or that. That's understandable. I'm not in this business to look, I'm not to have every single person as a client. I want to work with people who want to work with me and who respect what I do and how I do things.
Absolutely. Is important question. Is Abuela opening up a restaurant, or is
We're working on it. We're working on it. No, I wish. Actually, no, I don't wish, because that'd be more headaches. I want to, when I have abuela's food, it's peaceful. So no, she's not. But maybe I can talk to her about, if anybody wants to join, we can charge like a $500 fee for her to cook for one person. We could probably figure something out, I
do
am
have a
thinking
little
though,
backyard?
I am thinking honestly though, what I want to do, and I've spoken to her about it, is doing a YouTube video showing how she cooks certain cuisines. I think that'd be cool. Like, I look at it like, obviously it's cool to share with people, but honestly, I think it'd be cool to keep it in the family. So I've thought of that, like just having that for like my kids or anybody like down the road to see. That'd be something really cool.
Yeah, dude, you're super. Whenever you make content, you're very entertaining. So I'm
Appreciate it,
sure
man.
it would be fun.
We'll be
Yeah.
a chef
So
for a day.
indeed. So we covered a nice amount of ground. It was a short episode. We covered a lot. Just I guess some last finishing thoughts about what you predict, or any closing thoughts, anything like that.
Um, Closing thoughts. I would say, maybe more so like a message to like realtors is, there's going to be people that are obviously going to leave the business. I think this creates an opportunity for the people who do this full time, who are actually true professionals. It's gonna bring even more business to all of us, right? And I think collaboration is very important. I'm a huge believer in collaboration. I do a lot of collaborations with other realtors on their listings for videos, right? You've seen the videos. So I believe in collaboration in that way, in marketing, collaboration and sharing off markets, right? I've had a lot of deals happen through just relationships with other brokers. Right? I had
Mm-hmm.
two closings 2 months ago in Pinecrest that it was broker collaboration that got the deal done off market, right? So just working together. Yes, we are after the same concept, getting listings, getting sales, working with buyers, and we all want the most clients possible, but there's enough to go around for everybody. Like there's no need to be greedy. There's no need to hate on one another. Like we need to work together. And working together is gonna bring the best results for everybody, for
Totally.
everybody. So, you know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work, right? And I believe that's true in like an industry. My girlfriend's an attorney. I see collaboration between attorneys and amongst attorneys. That there needs to be collaboration in all industries with the people that you work with. I think that's huge. I think that's huge. So, got to stick together.
That's great advice. I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
why that's why we're on the call, my friend. One of the
yeah,
many
man.
reasons.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's that was one of the first lessons I learned very early on. There's enough to go around for everybody. And, I'm not greedy. I'm a deal maker, not a deal breaker. Teamwork makes the dream work. I believe in all those things, all those sayings, all those cliche things. I think they're very true. I'm not worried about it. I know a lot of people in my office and people that I speak with, most of us are not worried about what's going to happen just because it's business as usual, right? I know attorneys had this thing where there's DeSantis changed laws affecting insurances, and that affected personal injury attorneys, right? They figured it out and they adapted, overcame, and made it work, right? So, you have to come up with things. There's always going to be changes. There's always going to be things that change up in industry, and you just got to adjust
Mm-hmm.
and move on. That's it. Business as usual, just a different way of doing business.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. I
Jonathan,
kind of like it
always.
better though. I kind of like it better, and I'm sorry to add and keep running on that, but I kind of like it
But
better just because now, buyers, they will reach out when they're serious and there's no more looky loos. That's the era of people just looking to look is not going to happen anymore. Now you can rest assured that the showings you have, they're going to be serious, especially if they come from other brokers. They're going to be
that's a good
serious.
point. That's a
They're
good
not going
point.
to be, this is going to make the way we buy and sell real estate, I think, better, just because we're not going to waste time with people who who don't want to sign this agreement. You don't want to sign this agreement? Okay, that's fine. You can't see the property. It's plain and simple. So I think I think it's going to improve the industry in certain ways. So
That's a
there's
very
different
good.
ways to look at all this, man. It's all about perspective in life.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But thank you for having me, man. I mean, I appreciate it, and sorry I had to keep pushing it back and doing this and that and this and that. So, it's just the way I am sometimes. So I
No worries.
apologize
It's
for that.
good problems to have, man. I'm glad you're busy. I'm glad you're kicking ass. It's awesome to see. So thank you again for joining.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you so much. I'm stuck in Brickell traffic right now, so I really don't have anywhere else to go. But
Fair enough. Fair
but
enough.
thanks again, man. Thanks again. And for everybody out there, Rafi's the man. Great podcast. Consistency is key. Like in any content creator that I look at, The people that I want to follow are the people who consistently push out content, and no matter what. And you do it. I respect you for that. Keep it up. You're doing a great job. And I look forward to doing this podcast again in 3 years again, maybe 2 years or 3 years when
We
this
will, man.
podcast
And at
has.
that point, I'll have an incredible state of the art studio. It'll be a whole different ballgame. So that'll be exciting.
Love that. Love that. You got to
Yeah,
have the vision, man. I love it. All right, man.
absolutely.
Well, we'll be in touch.
I'm
You know where to
just
find me. You know where to reach me. And anybody out there, if you want to follow me, Jonathan M. Vega, I got to push the clout, right? Is that okay if I push
Oh,
it?
do it, do it, do it, do it.
Yeah.
I'm
All
just gonna
right. So
close out before we hop off. I'm just gonna close the video out. So feel free to drop
do it.
your yeah. Okay, so ladies and gents, thank you again for joining us for this awesome conversation. Mr. 20 under 40 Jonathan Vega for round 2 comes to a close. Make sure to follow him on all social media platforms at Jonathan Vega. You can find him. If you have any trouble finding him, let me know. Going to drop the links in the description. And that is all. Alrighty. Until the next time.
Love you so much.
Peace, man.